Hello TSG, this is Kurt Holfreiter and this is your 20-minute July challenge. This month is going to be focusing on body mechanics and the ability for us to steer the weapon utilizing our hips and our core region as opposed to just our arms. We're going to be looking at the warm-up exercise of the windmill to achieve this, and then later on we're going to be working this into a failure drill, a failure cut concept that will allow you to transfer as, but also as a cutting combination that I've used several times in sparring as well as in tournament, and it has good basis of effort. So with that being the case, warm up as you see fit. Areas to focus on right here are definitely shoulders, your abdominal regions, your hips, especially hip flexors, your quads, and your calves. I also recommend for this right here, making sure that you do that your feet, if you have any type of foot like pain or anything like that going on, maybe forego this because this means a lot of the focus here is going to be on the balls of your feet, and that will, as far as for transfer of your energy and your power. So that's your warm-up piece of this, and then again we're going to be talking about as far as for your weapon warm-ups. Again, big thing in right here, of course, is being the blade raisers, allowing yourself to have that grip. Again, do it your ability for this. If you can, if this whatever you need to make sure that happens. This is more about letting yourself feel the weapon go up and down with this. Okay. And again, if you have power into this area right here, great. Do it to your capability. That sword cyclones is another one that I'm going to recommend as well for you in this, because it will again allow for you to get your hands engaged. We're talking about getting the hands engaged here. It's more about that than it is about getting the arm tight with it. The next one, doing the basic windmills. When we're talking about the basic windmills, just coming across right here, getting the arms stretched out into that area, okay, and above as well. Make sure you do the side to side as well here. Okay, get that all loose. The last one I'm going to introduce to you is a footwork drill, springers. And these are really just going to be kind of ways to kind of get our feet engaged, making sure we have our legs warmed up in a way that it kind of has us the ability to make sure we have lunges and cuts that are effective and not slowed down. And the way we do this right here is it's going to be, again, we're going to be on the balls of our feet, not tippy toe, but more on the balls of our feet so we're braced, as if we're poised to move forward into a strike. The ankles and the knees and the hip need to be open. So with this being the case, you don't want to have a straight leg with this. It's not about pressing up on the foot. It's about having a natural bend in your knee and your hip region. So that's going to look something like this. Notice this. My feet are not, I'm not up here. You don't want to do this. Keep a light natural bend in there. That's going to help you out. This is not the same thing for those that have been there on Saturday. This is not the same thing as Happy Feet, although this is an abridgment of it all that kind of allows for us to kind of work those areas. So the way that you do this is, what we're going to do is we're going to sit there, and it's going to be a bouncing on there, but it's not going to be back and forth. It's going to be both at the same time. And then you'll do about 5. You'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, switch. And you're bouncing. You're keeping that tension on your legs. You're not hopping with this, but you're letting your legs. You can tell right now I'm moving up and down with this, and that's all based off of the pressure I'm pushing off over my feet and keeping that spring activation in my body. Once you get to 5, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What you do is you just simply, keeping your face forward, shift your feet. And that's going to be really kind of a little bit of a hop to come into one side and then going right back over. So doing about 3 on each side there, and then switching to the other side as far as the starting point. So it's going to look like this. No blade necessary with this right here. You can hold it if you wish, but this is more about getting the legs and letting the body feel like you can actually move as a unit, vice trying to force like a jump into this. I know all this jumping right here is probably going to get some people like, what the heck is he doing out there? Anyway, so this is what it looks like as far as for the springers. So again, natural, as if you're facing towards this. It helps you put this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. and then switch to the other side. Okay. An advanced portion of that is once you get here, instead of just coming here, then stepping to the other side again. But we're not, that's for another day on this. Focus on that right there. This is more about getting your body kind of loose and limber. Think like a boxer almost. So that's the warm-up for this. Now for the exercise we're going to focus on here, we're going to look at powering through utilizing the windmill warm-up, but as far as the sphere and your Unterhau variation. Now, as stated before in class, one of the things that happens with this is we're talking about just doing this. It's a lot of arms and shoulders alone. And what I'm challenging people to do here is use the entire body. And you do that by feet shoulder width apart, starting up here in the cross stocks. Now for this portion, what I'm going to do is I'm going to engage this leg as it's pushing. You'll feel the charge in the ball of my foot coming up to my hip and coming across. There will be a point where it's almost like it's lifting and coming down this way. Right? So in this right here, we're shifting side to side. We're not just swinging in our arms, which is part of the reason why some of us probably have shoulder problems. I'm not a doctor, but it's my hypothesis. With that being the case, the big thing about this, why it works, is you want your hands loose in that position. And what I mean by that is you don't want to necessarily have to complete the cut. If you can, and it's all done by legs, good on you. You got some good body dynamics. But I'm asked, but if it stops and you're kind of angled off this way, which I'll demonstrate here in a second, there'll be other portions to go with this. So the first thing we need to do on this, the first portion of the exercise, is to just simply be able to shift side to side and move and engage the body. We want our chest to be able to move side to side. I'm going to show you how that goes here. Again, this is loose, shoulder width apart. My feet are faced in the angle right here. Next, I'm going to shift my body and it's going to naturally come over. My hands are very loose, but I don't want to throw it at the camera, so I'm going to hold on to it, but just keep in mind that my hands, there's no grip. No grip, just enough to make sure I don't lose it. The thing that's funny is they went all the way across. The point is, in that area right there, so you've seen right there, that's literally me just using my body. My hand has to rotate. So that's if I stop it. So you might come to this point right here. If you go all the way through and it's just letting the momentum of the blade go, then you realize that you're just letting the upper body go and letting the lower body work. This transfer of power goes from the right foot. We're going to start on the right foot here in your crossed arm arcs. Lefties go to your left ox for your crossed arm. So that's where we're going to start, the crossed arm. Here, pushing, not so much, I'm exaggerating. Pushing this up, so now I'm square. Then clenching with the left butt cheek, and then down. This leg right here, you feel in the calf, and you also feel it here. Hands loose, right? I'm trying to be very loose with this. You see how it just kind of lazily comes over. My hands are just staying in this area right here. My right hand is staying in the center of my body, roughly about away from my forehead. Go both sides. With that being the case there, if you find yourself not completing that cut, that's okay. It builds confidence in there. I mean, initially, because I initially didn't want to lose my weapon, so I'm like holding back on it. that's okay. If you find yourself in a position where you end up in that here and you stop, this is where we're going. That's about right there, the threshold where I want you to engage one other part of your body, and it's not your arms, it's your hands. In this portion right here, for this action, it's just going to be, once you get to that point, right about here, I want you to grip your hands as if you're finishing it, just this. This is very based off the premise of boxing, or kind of like the Jeet Kune Do stuff that Bruce Lee talked about. Hands are loose, and when you send it out there, and then you grip at the last second. Same concept as sword. This has helped me out as far as deflecting certain cuts, because a strong cut can be displaced by a powerful cut, and there is a difference there. So keep that in mind as you're doing this. So as you're seeing right here, if your blade's going all the way over, you want to aim it so that eventually if I'm here, the moment I'm right here, that cut's coming back, that's where I'm wanting to finish it through. So that's everything in one portion, clenching at one time. Hands, the legs, everything. But you don't want to make your legs and every arms lock up. You have to be able to move still. The stability portion comes in the core. So if you're sitting there and you get to the side and you're like, oh my God, I went over, clench your core. Right? Go at your speed in this. It's not a race. The next portion of this is going to use that same concept, but again, in the lower hang-in of plow. Again, my feet are side to side here. When I come up, use a short edge. Keeping this in the center, I'm going to be coming up here. I want my right hand to stay. So this is all I'm doing. So you are using your arms a little bit, but the concept is to just, you're talking about raising from a lower to upper hang-in in this, or staying in the upper hang-in position. You're not powering through this. And the same thing on the other side. So that right there being a, you have this, you're using a short edge cut. And this is your true edge. Because the right hand stays in the center of the body, your left hand can work appropriately, which does cause a little bit of pushing, but we're not strengthening through this. Again, hands are really loose. Once you get to the portion where you start feeling the blade come up, you're about right here, that's when the clenching and extension of the cut should come. Speed this up as your capability, and again, keep your core attached. Your hips, this is the part that's funny, is the more your hips move, the more the cut's just gonna go. And that's because of the ergonomics of body. You have this cutting motion. So that's what's looking at from the front. Now let's look at it from the side. First time. Now low. The next portion of that is to put this into a weaponized form. Now, again, you can use any mannerism to cut with this. I'm focusing on the lower and upper hang-in. In a later video, I'm going to talk about the transition from your upper to your lower and the exploration of using Lager and body mechanics to cut. But for right now, we're just focusing on this. So since we're lower and we're going to upper, we're going to now focus on the weaponized portion of the cutting. And that is to simply do is to use the biodynamics to go in from holding yourself up in the high, cutting under, coming over, and then cutting again. This is achieved, this is why it's called the obtuse stepping Zwerchhau Unterhau Fehler. So I'm going to demonstrate here at a distance what this all is, and I'm going to walk you through it. Left foot forward, right foot back, right ox. Cut, don't step. Gather, you notice the blade's up, and then step. You notice you're in a crown almost. That's the Fehler motion. Notice. Up. Balls of the feet. And that's that motion. So let's walk through that and then we can talk about how we get to the other side. The first thing we do with this is, again, you are in the right ox, the cross-armed ox. So for lefties, your left ox, but you get what I'm getting at here. From that portion, you're going to, up here, again, since I have here, I'm on the balls of my feet, I'm going to transfer that power. My arms are just keeping in line with this. I'm letting my left arm kind of fall and come up underneath. And again, that right hand being on point here keeps my tip in your face. So that's the first one. You don't step, it's obtuse stepping. The next portion of this is the Fehler. This is a two-parter piece right here. Again, work on stepping with the forefront of your foot. As you do, you're bringing your feet up together here, almost at shoulder width apart, just like the drill we did initially. Once you're here, you'll be almost in a croon position. That upper position there. Now you can finish it off with an Oberhau in tournament or in sparring, but for the purpose of this, that's your Fehler to get them to bite at that. That's if your Unterhau didn't hit them already. The next portion of this, because we're now in a position where we're here, and our feet are again on the balls of their feet, it's just a matter of finishing off stepping with the left to perform the Zwerchhau. Notice there, that is all hips. I clench at the closing moments of extension. And this right here, this transfer, would not be able to come straight across if those up here are very tight. You cannot move it that way, okay? So if you look at this, now you're in the left ox, but you're in an obtuse step. So instead of it being, or an uncrossed ox, so instead of it being right foot forward, left foot back, and your back this way, you are now this way. From this position, you just replicate exactly what you did, however, this time by stepping with the right foot. So this is what that looks like. Recut to. Boom. Here, balls of feet. Boom, notice the step. Cut, fail, cut. If you notice, Unterhau, and you come this way. It's an inside Zwerchhau, that's what I call it. You can go back and forth with this as much as you like. I'll demonstrate. That's going forward. Now side to side. So again, that right there is the motion. If you want to time this down, and this might be complicated. If you're not able to perform this yet, that's cool. Focus on the body mechanics of the warm-up drill to get it so that your body starts throwing at the right moment, okay? So if you're doing the 1 to 5 or 5 to 1 countdown, simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's complex as far as that goes, but it's not impossible. You have to be loose in the shoulders, have to be loose in the grips until it comes time to cutting. To demonstrate that real fast here, if you're talking about that, as far as the hands being too tight, this is what happens. If I'm all arms, that is all upper body. It's all arms. I'm trying not to use my hips as much as possible. It's too ingrained. The point of that is there, everything's way over margined. And I'm not focusing and putting the tip on the center line where it needs to be. We like to cut a lot with this. This is a thrusting weapon. 3227A states, the point of the sword is the ort, or the point. So, putting the tip on line always constantly threatens seeking, hunting, chasing, whatever the case may be within the fight. So, that's your 20-minute challenge here. I'm going to do one more time here at a distance here, so you can see it both front and back. That way you can have a side-to-side profile. And then from there, we're just going to talk about the cool-down drills, the cool-downs that you'll be doing for this, which really are going to be obviously a lot of shoulders, stretching up there, calf stretch, abs, hips, flexors, and your chest and your shoulder areas. So this is the slow variant of this, so we can go through it. I'll be doing it this way and then this way. And now for the side to side. Okay, that's your July 20-minute challenge. Again, make sure you focus on stretching your legs, your glutes, and your hip flexor areas. There's going to be a lot of stretch on the legs, as well as also in your shoulder area, because you are holding this up there, and that's where a lot of the strength comes from. So again, I'm Kurt Hohlfeder. This is your 20-minute challenge, and I hope to see you all in the ring, cutting Unterhaus and Sphärikaus at me all day to keep me on my toes. Anyway, until next time, fight on.